Howdy, welcome to The Genesis. Before I tell you about this week's guest, I want to remind you that Rabbi Adina Allen, who was a guest of this podcast and with whom I had a fabulous conversation, is going to be in town, brought to you by Art Lab in collaboration with the Eastside Jewish Commons and the Portland Jewish Federation. So you need to register for this event. There's flexible pricing, but it's this Thursday, December 4th at 7:30 at the Eastside Jewish Commons. Go to artlabpdx.org and you'll find a link to the tickets there. And you do not want to miss Rabbi Adina Allen. If you heard my conversation with her, you know what an insightful, thoughtful, inspiring Jewish leader she is, and for sure the opportunity to see this person up front and close will be really special. So don't miss that. Again, go to artlabpdx.org and you'll find a ticket link there if you poke around. My guest today is Ora Fruchter. Now, Ora is a puppeteer. She's much more than that, and we get into a little bit what she does with her work, but she's probably a little bit too humble about it. She's an educator. She's a storyteller. She makes puppets, and she's an incredibly gifted puppeteer. I've seen her do her work, and it's quite incredible to watch how she brings things to life. And if you thought that puppets were just a thing for kids, you really don't understand this form of art. So Ora and I have a really wide-ranging conversation. She has a very deep Jewish background, and she brings a Jewish framework, a way of thinking into her puppetry and into her profession that is really deep-seated. Not that her work is explicitly Jewish, as she'll talk about, or not always, but there's a Jewish sensibility to how she thinks about how she approaches her artwork. We talk about some projects she has coming up. We talk about the work that she does with her siblings, which is really, really special. We get into the ways in which puppetry and Torah are similar, and I don't want to say too much more about that here because it's intriguing in the conversation itself. We talk about puppetry as a kind of spiritual practice and a whole bunch more. So enjoy this conversation with the wonderful Art Lab alum, Ora Fruchter. Thanks so much for listening. Ora Fruchter, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You are the very first puppeteer that we have had.
Yes.
Is that what you consider yourself? Are you a puppeteer? Are you a puppet designer? I mean, you do so many different things. One could categorize you in a bunch of different ways. You're a storyteller, you're a craftsperson, you're an educator. How do you think of your art, your work?
Yeah. I usually call myself a puppeteer and a theater maker. And that some people also say puppetry artist, which I like too. Because as a puppeteer, you're often making your own puppets, you're often directing or writing, often producing.
Yeah. So theater designer, you said?
Puppetry artist or theater maker.
Theater maker. What is a theater maker? Oh, you're making the things that you're using in the theater.
Sort of. So it's because all the theater I'm interested in has some amount of collaborative work to it. The roles are a little bit blurred. There's like a company of people working together. Or I might be like sort of at the head of the project and bring in people to help with certain things. So different than I am a director only and I get a script and I cast the show and do it. Right. A theater maker I think of as more, a lot of us puppeteers are like, okay, we have this idea that we want to create a visual story about. And we might be writing it, we might be building it, we might be bringing in other people, but it captures it a little better than like I'm a puppeteer, because that's just one part of it.
So this is a strange question of it. It's coming from a place of trying to reframe or trying to frame in the way you see it, puppetry, because I think a lot of people, like when they think about puppets, they think about their childhood. Right. I don't think you primarily think of yourself as in that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think I feel more connected to theater for sure, because puppetry is part of many theatrical shows. And that's actually part of how people have come to understand in art, in this country at least, that, puppets can be for adults. Like Life of Pi was just here with these incredible giant animal puppets. War Horse is another example of a intense puppet production with intense puppetry in it. So yeah, I think theater, and then there's also just a world of puppetry on its own.
Yeah, and
but I think
is the world of puppetry, where are we in its history? Are we at a low point? Is it a blossoming, a renaissance? What was the golden age of puppetry, or are we in it?
Oh, what a big, lovely question. My interest has always been in like, what do I have to offer the field?
Yeah. But your answer implies there is a long history that some people are. Yeah.
Ancient and interesting and often spiritual, like object performance. There's puppetry academics who can really get into it. But yeah, we go all the way back. Masks are a part of the puppet like family, commedia dell'arte,
Right.
and archetypes and all of that come into it with Punch and Judy characters.
Yeah.
In terms of how we're doing in puppetry, I feel like probably the US has its own kind of puppet culture to kind of look at and think about, and much probably with many art forms, like where we're kind of in a culture where the art is maybe not supported as much, and you're like, you have to have another job.
Right. It's not right. It's not related to production, and so therefore it's not valued in this society.
Yeah. But I can speak to like my puppetry colleagues and say that there is a lot of commitment to the form. And it's a pretty wide range. There's festivals where you'll meet a lot of enthusiasts who we love puppets. And then there'll also be like professionals who are making a living or trying to from this.
Right. As I was looking at some of your previous work in preparation for this, actually much of which I had seen before, but I was kind of going back to some of those YouTube things. What's so beautiful about it, it demands more of the audience. You can't look at least the kind of puppetry that you do and not have your imagination fill in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a pleasure because there's a lot of wonderful animated stuff on Netflix and movies for kids, and some of it's quite sophisticated, but everything is spelled out for you, Mm-hmm. And in the work you do, the viewer must fill in the gaps. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. And I love that you're picking up on that really beautiful part of puppetry, that there's this immediate collaboration that we've all decided that this thing is breathing.
Yeah.
And that when I perform, even if I'm nervous or still figuring out the piece, I really try and breathe for this puppet, because this is the work we're doing together with the audience. We're making this object become a living thing.
Yeah.
When that happens, it's really special.
Yeah.
It's really, really powerful just in itself.
I think, I feel like there are certain points with, sorry to interrupt you because I want you to finish the thought, but just to pick up on that specialness, there are moments I was watching the existential, what's it called? What is it?
An existential sing-along.
An existential sing-along. Is that the full title?
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, for people listening, the title alone suggests like we're not in the area, in this one at least, of children giggling with like Oscar the Grouch. Like it's it's dealing with some heavy themes. But anyway, there are moments that are funny, but there was a particular moment where there was nothing funny happening, but you hear someone in the audience laugh out loud. And what I think was happening is you have this moment of, oh my God, I forgot for a moment that thing is not really alive, and there's this delight in this, as you put it, this collaborative, imaginative process that's incredible. Yeah. So, but keep going.
Yeah. No, you're speaking to why I like found that puppetry was my art home, or like the hub of all the things I want to make, because it's a little bit hard to put words to for me, but that's part of why I love it. Like you kind of experience it and suddenly there's this possibility of connecting with people that doesn't take so much thought,
Mm-hmm.
or or the right words.
Right.
You're just going back to really something universal, something in your guts.
Right.
It has to do with not putting on more and adding layers of doing.
Yeah.
You're kind of just learning to let your breath do more.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, I would encourage people to go to your website and just to see some of the works that you have up there so they have a sense of what we're talking about. But what I was just reminded of when you said that is that you as a puppet designer, you make some puppets that are physically elaborate and exciting and wonderful to look at, but there's puppetry can also involve extremely elemental things, just like a stick with a shape on it. And,
yes.
And yeah, so that I'm just amplifying or drawing out what you were saying is that it's not necessarily about adding physical layers or physical detail in every case. It's just, I don't know, what is it? What are you doing back there as a puppeteer? What is it that makes a good puppeteer? Why is Ora good at it? What's the magic that's happening? Or I guess it's not magic. What's the art or the science of this thing that allows a stick to come to life?
I love that question. I love the mystery in it too. I think of it as getting to tap into something like it's a little bit of trust in what other people will see when you're doing it. If you put out this idea, it's a little bit like kind of feeling into the object and seeing what it wants to do.
Wait,
there's puppeteer.
Say more about that, because that sounds probably to your ears, that sounds like a normal thing to say. But I'm intrigued. Say more about that.
So I can't see myself on the screen here, but for example, this is a tissue I'm holding. Yeah. This is an audio podcast, but here you go.
This will be YouTubed as well. People.
Oh, great. Cool. I want to hear what I look like. Thank you. So if I'm using just a material and I want to animate it, I'd want to like explore it and see how it wants to move. I'd probably breathe as I do it. Object theater. So this is one way I might do it.
Right. But hold on a minute. Wait, I don't want to, I understand that some of this is kind of ineffable and you can't put words on it, but help me understand when you say, I really want to dig down on that. When you say what it wants to do, what are you experiencing when you're doing that? How are you exploring the will of this thing that has no will?
Something I've always loved is improv theater. And I've always loved a kind of performance where you're trusting in what you feel like is the next thing that's supposed to happen. And the work of practicing that is opening yourself to it. And so,
right.
Yeah, puppetry. I studied with a theater called Sandglass in Vermont. They have a summer intensive training, and that was my first training. That was post-college, my first real puppetry training. And they do a lot of thinking about what materials you're using and making sure your body is available for breath and the breath like transferring through your arm into the puppet.
Wow. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine what that even means. But so there's a lot more going on than just you're waving your hands around and using your imagination.
I think when you feel that magic, there's usually a lot more going on. Yeah.
Wow. And is that, I mean, and here I think it is where it really begins to overlap with other forms of art, because I could ask these kinds of questions to someone who's a writer. I mean, I've heard writers say that, well, that's what that character wanted to do, or some version of that. As they're writing, they're learning about the character. So the question is that a conscious act when you're working with the puppet in that way, and like it wants to do or it wants to do this or wants to do that, and you're using all these techniques? How conscious are you? Are you just in the zone?
I think it's a zone, and it makes it's one of the things that makes me feel like I've chosen the right field for myself, because I feel more myself and more strength from that place and more connection. And that's something I actually seek in all of my life, is what will make me feel more present, more connected to people around me. And I found that through improv, through puppetry and other things adjacent, being in that space where a lot of, I've said this 3 different ways already in these last 10 minutes, but where a lot of things fall away and I'm just able to, intuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the place that in one way or another, everyone's trying to get there, even if not consciously. When people are in that, that's what feels so good to humans. And, we have less healthy ways of doing that. But I like drugs and alcohol, to take like an example. But I think that's really what we're trying to do as people. We're trying to get to that place where everything kind of falls away, because the rest of our days we have to spend dealing with life, and that's beautiful too. But there's something about that. Yeah, that's really beautiful. That's powerful. So what is the relationship between, you just mentioned improv and puppetry in the same sentence. Are they always connected, or just in Ora's practice? Well, what's the relationship between the two?
I think much like in scripted theater, like improv is a useful thing to have in your tool belt.
Yeah.
Similar way, not all puppeteers might be comfortable improvising, but having an improv skill set can help you find more things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So you've taken like improv classes that aren't about puppetry per se, but just improv.
Yeah. And since I was a kid, it's always felt like a place to feel at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's wild, because that's a very, in some ways, improv theater, at least the way I imagine it, seems like the opposite of puppetry in a sense. If puppetry, you're concealing yourself to some extent and living through this puppet, improv is like you're just in front of people, just being Ora in real time, responding to stuff. That seems so frightening to me. I don't think I'm willing to be that vulnerable. I've never taken an improv class, but it sounds fun but terrifying.
Yeah. Do you know, the understanding I think I've come to around this is that it's being vulnerable within a frame.
Yeah.
So I show up, I go on this stage. Everyone's there because they want to see me make something up that is interesting or entertaining, grounded in something real. And so I have that contract. And from there, I can be like, okay, try opening up, see what there is. It's way different than just being out in the wild.
Yeah.
That's why I've always loved it.
Yeah.
It's like a great training ground to just get to be more human, even though you're playing characters. And I actually feel that with puppetry as well. There is an element where you could be kind of hiding, but there's also this sense of this thing is a vessel, and I am kind of seeing through it.
Hold on one second. We got very, very choppy. One of us lost our signal there for a second. Okay. So can you say that again? You were saying it's also the case with puppetry.
Yes, it's also the case with puppetry that it could be seen as hiding, but it also can be seen as this vessel to kind of communicate through.
It's so interesting. Cool, right? It's so, yeah. I mean, that sounds like a beautiful place to be. So, okay, first of all, I want to transition in a second, but without moving your camera, because things get all janky, can you just tell us what are we seeing over your right shoulder? Oh. And then what are the other things in the room that you'll just have to describe to us? And why are there tools over your shoulder?
I've got a pegboard back here with some tools. We're in my workshop right now. Got a sweet little workshop in my basement. I've got boxes with wood, sewing stuff, some paper mache, faux fur, lots of puppets that are being stored. I've got
your workshop. This is where you bring things into being. You bring puppets. You create puppets.
Yeah.
And are these all things you use, or do you sell them?
The puppets I only make for myself because it takes a lot out.
Yeah.
Building is a thing I've grown in skill over the years. I guess that's how it works to skill build. But yeah, I have gotten more confident in recent years. I'm starting to work with wood a little more. I had done a lot with paper mache and mixed media.
So when you say you don't sell them because they take a lot out of you, I mean, somebody else might frame that as, I put a huge amount of work into this, I'm going to sell it. But you have the opposite, because like you don't want to let go of it because this is my baby kind of thing.
Well, I build it for a purpose. So I'm not usually building a puppet just because I feel like it. I'm usually building it for a show.
Yeah, I see.
And then once I've used it for the show, I hang on to it.
I see.
Yeah.
And are there puppets that you will build just for a single show that won't get used again?
Yeah, although I'll have it. Right now, I think one of my favorite puppets is from a show called The Amazing Story Machine that my theater company made. And I went to some scrap stores, and it's got a light bulb for a head that lights up when it has ideas, made out of a tin coffee maker. Yeah. And they're labors of love. And I like that about puppets, that you can see there's some life in the material itself.
Yeah, that's such a funny idea. That's such a funny idea. The light bulb, his whole head lights up. I love that.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that I want to draw you out about is that there's a connection. It seems to me that there's a connection between storytelling, puppetry, and your Jewish self. You're also like a Jewish educator. You're a puppet educator. You're a Jewish educator. How does your Jewish upbringing come out through your work? And is that like a deliberate thing? I really want to get this Jewish message out there, or is it just so much part of Ora that it's just radiating through the puppetry? How does that work?
I think definitely the second one. So I think of like my Jewish upbringing as part of my marrow, kind of. I grew up in a modern Orthodox family that was really full of love and tradition and art also. And when I make art, I don't think of it as Jewish per se. I'm sure I bring my identity to it. And I have some projects that are specifically Jewish. So yeah, it was interesting being in art lab and thinking about that question. And I can't say I've actually come to a full conclusion on it. It's interesting to think about.
Well, but the piece you did for art lab for the exhibition, and for those listening who don't know, art lab every year, the core of it is a cohort program where the artists meet for a monthly cohort, and they do text study, and they do all kinds of collaborative things and conversation. But there's also an exhibition where we show the work of the artists, and they've often usually showing a piece they've developed during the course of art lab itself. Your piece for art lab was like explicitly Jewish, right? Mm-hmm. But most of your work is not. True.
Yeah, I would say it's not, unless I'm like teaching a workshop. Often I'll do object theater workshops that help expand knowledge of a Torah story, thinking about what objects might be the correct character. And I'm working on a show right now that's explicitly Jewish with my brother, which we can talk about. But yeah, other than that, I don't think so. Yeah.
And do you feel like, I mean, I guess this is a question I could have asked earlier, but is there something that do puppets allow you to do something with story that you can't do that one can't do otherwise? Do you think?
Yeah, well, when I was learning with Sandglass, and I guess with many mentors throughout the years, I think a lot of people do try and train people making puppet theater to think of that question. Like, why is a puppet needed here?
Right.
Why is it not a person? And some people, I think, answer that by saying, because I'm a puppet artist and I want to make a puppet.
Right, and I love puppets, but there might be a better answer, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I like to be able to answer that.
Yeah.
So did I just answer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. So there are certain things, and maybe it's hard to think of an example, but there are certain ideas that or emotions or something that could not be articulated in a story in your mind unless there's a puppet involved. That's sometimes how you think of what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we're talking, this is kind of going back to the Jewish question, because it's funny, this is a limitation of my mind that just happened. But what I didn't answer is that puppetry is a big part of my spirituality. So I realized I was answering maybe my version of your question, but then if I translate it for myself, or if I translate the question of is my art Jewish, maybe I would think, it has to be about Judaism. But I consider myself Jewish, and I consider spirituality as part of that.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. How is puppetry part of your spirituality?
A lot of the things I was just talking about with how it creates the sense of community on a really human level. It connects to something very elemental and universal and connective. Like, it is this magic you're talking about that these objects have this power when we give them attention. Yeah.
So it's this thing about community and bringing something to life together that could not be brought to life without the people there, that for you makes you feel connected spiritually. Is it a connection to, listen, my questions are coming from a place of, somebody who loves Jewish texts, and they just might not fit, but we'll just explore it. Does the spirituality connect you with the divine, or is it a communal connection, or maybe those feel like the same thing for you?
For me, they do feel the same thing. I translate divine to that feeling. Yeah.
I sorry, did I just cut you off?
No, you're good. What were you going to say?
You're good. I like the thumbs up. I think that there, it just occurred to me going back a couple steps. I see a really, really essentially Jewish way to look at puppetry that you mentioned earlier, and that is that when you get up there, or I guess any puppeteer gets, any skilled puppeteer gets up there and does their thing, as we were saying, like it connects to the audience. The audience is invited in because the audience's mind must go to work, or their heart, or their whatever must go to work to bring this thing alive. And I think that is a really powerful way to think about what Torah means in the Jewish community. What I mean by that is the way Jews think about Torah, right? Because Jews are not fundamentalists. We don't, even the most ultra-Orthodox Jews are not fundamentalists, because we don't believe that we can understand the text just by jotting it down and memorizing it. We don't think that the text itself has everything that can be said, or rather, maybe the better way to say it is, we don't believe that the text is really speaking until we are imaginatively engaged with it. And whether you're talking about Jewish law in the Talmud, or whether you're talking about Midrash and the magnificent stories that are founded in sort of drawing out the implicit stories that are hidden in the Torah, I think that's the case. Like, it demands the audience, or it demands the Jewish people bring it to life. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because, yeah.
Well, you and I have that in common, I think. And it's one of the reasons I have a lot of fun talking to you, because there's this thing that I can't explain from growing up, spending so much of my brain on Jewish text study. I don't identify as modern Orthodox anymore, but my whole childhood was full of this knowledge.
Yeah.
And not just knowledge, this sense of digging into these texts was so fun for me.
Oh, you did. You loved it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a very analytical person, and I brought that into directing, into theater making. I love thinking about like a text from multiple angles. And I really think I got that from spending so much time in studying Rashi or Gemara. Just like,
sorry, keep going. Finish the thought.
Yeah. Oh, just it's a big part of my family culture too. That sort of, you have to think of one more idea, right? We have, so this for Torah, this speech about the Torah is one idea. And then someone often will chime in and be like, yeah, but also, what if you looked at it this way?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, that's why we keep reading Torah. It's not, oh yeah, there's all these great teachings about the Torah and we're just going to go through them every year until everyone memorizes all of the teachings. It's not about that. The Torah, when people talk about the Torah being a living thing, it's because there's always one additional thought or whatever you said, one additive thought that's emerging because there's living beings reading it and taking it in. So do you see a connection? And I mean, I don't want to force it too hard. If the answer is no, it's no. But do you see a connection between the way your Jewish family approached text and Torah and what you do now as a storyteller?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it really led me here. I mean, I probably have, my parents are both artists too, is a musician who plays weddings and bar mitzvahs. And my mom was our art teacher for many years and now she makes mosaics. So that is part of it. But this sense of just digging and the play of analysis. Yeah. Like when I think about my Jewishness, that definitely came from that place.
Yeah, man, that's so special. And I mean, your family is not only notably Jewish, but very artistic. Your siblings are artists, and your parents are artists, so they really instilled within you a real love for creativity. Yeah,
definitely.
So just very briefly mention your siblings, and then maybe we can talk about the piece that you're doing with them.
Okay, so my older sister Tamim is a writer who came out with a book called City of Laughter, I think last year, and it's really wonderful queer Jewish story that has 4 generations of Jewish women, and I'll talk more about that when I talk about the show because her work inspires it. My brother's a musician. His work also has Jewishness in it.
What's his name?
Yoshi.
Yep.
He has a few bands. Sandcatchers is the more recent one. And that's a combination of oud and lap steel. Mm-hmm. Everything's really special.
Wow. Gosh. I've recently fallen in love with lap steel and pedal steel guitar. So, and everyone loves the oud. So I love that. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so Yoshi and Tamim and Ora Fruchter. I mean, that's a pretty powerful, familial, creative trio there.
Yeah, well, there's another one. Did you know? There's a fourth. I don't know. Rabbi Adina Allen is the rabbi of...
I did know that.
The founder of a synagogue in South Philadelphia, the South Philadelphia Shtibel. So her work is to organize this incredible open community with a female rabbinate.
It's a traditional community.
Yeah, Orthodox. So she's on this sort of unique part of that world where she is this incredible female leader of this synagogue that she founded.
Amazing. Is she an artist just in the narrow term without saying everyone's an artist, but does she have an art practice the way you do?
So she doesn't have an art practice because her work is so
consuming.
You've been
I know what it's about. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. So she works very hard, and I hope that she gets to keep writing. She's like a visual artist. She's a writer. She's got multi-talented.
Wow.
She's
great.
Been able.
Okay, so tell us about this project that you've been deeply involved in with your sibs.
Yes, so it's called Boy of the Sea, at least for now. And my brother and I have really wanted to work together on a theater project for years. So it feels really special and exciting. And it's based on invented Jewish folktales written by my sister Tamim. They're not in her book, City of Laughter, but they were written as sort of part of the preparation for the book. And they're from Eastern European tropes. So stories we may have heard when we were kids, but she's evolved them.
I see. So that's why, this phrase invented Jewish folktales, which you also had on the website description of it. I was going to ask about that. So they're Jewish-y in feeling, and there's a subterranean Jewish roots, but it's original material.
Yeah, my sister Tamim has a huge talent for creating the feeling of something.
Wow.
Like her adjective use is wow.
Beautiful. I'm excited to read that book. And by the way, we'll put a link to all of your siblings' work in the show notes as well. But so folks who want to read that book can check it out. But yeah, okay, keep going. The Boy in the Sea? No, the
Boy of the Sea.
Boy of the Sea.
The name of one of the folktales. Basically, we're going to choose 3 of them, and Boy of the Sea is the first one we're working on. This is the story of a fisherman and his wife who are trying to conceive, and they go into the ocean to get away from the evil eye, and they meet a fish. Right. Because they spilled a lot of salt, and the ocean is full of salt, so maybe it's safer there. So there's some superstition at play. The evil eye, they meet a fish who gives them a special gem, and they have a child who is very prismatic and doesn't quite fit into the synagogue because his eye is always projecting lights on the ceiling and walls.
Incredible. Wow. I love that idea. There's
a lot in there. Let's see. I've got this.
And was like Tamim came out with this book and you guys said, I've got to turn this into a puppet theater, or how did it originate?
I think I was looking for something to make with Yoshi as the next thing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what story do I want to tell? And I've been thinking a lot about our ancestors. And one of the things Tamim really puts forth in her book and through these stories is, I think her words were ancestral reverberations, like where she was like, I wish that the past would talk to me. And this relates to what we've talked about so far today, actually. Absolutely. She was like, what if they were speaking and I just wasn't listening?
Yeah.
And so I'm playing around in directing and writing this with a sort of cross-section of Shabbat tables over time. I have no idea how I'm going to design this yet or bring someone in to design it, but the feeling I want the show, the place I want to be is like this overlapping space of Shabbat tables.
Across time, meaning like Jews who observed Shabbat 1,000 years ago sitting down with somebody in the 21st century and somebody from the 12th century or whatever.
I think more just over top of each other. My sister writes about this in visiting Warsaw, actually, that she felt like, oh, I'm in the present day and there's a layering of things here.
Yes. Wow.
So yeah, kind of thinking, bringing in my ancestors without maybe knowing everything about them, but trying to kind of be with them and bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I wonder if you've thought about the Ushpizin as a possible template for something like that. But wow, that sounds absolutely incredible. And so where do things stand on this? Are we ready for production? Are we ready for showing this thing off?
Oh, it's so exciting. We have a grant from the Pella residency, I think it's called. My brother did a residency. It's funded by them. And this is for people who did that residency. They can get this grant to keep working on something relating to family, that project. They have a website as well we can link to. And it's through also Asylum Arts. So all of this great supportive community for artists. And what was I going to say?
I was asking when this thing is ready for the public.
Oh, yes. So what we're doing is we're having these, he's in New York, I'm in Portland. I moved here 3 years ago from New York. So he came here for a work retreat. I just came back I went to New York in October to do one. And he did a concert premiering some of the Yiddish music with his collaborator on it, Rabbi Deborah Saxmans. And we're going to try and do something here in May and in New York in the summer.
Wow, fabulous. So it'll premiere in Portland.
Yeah.
Wow, really wonderful.
Not officially a premiere, but some showing of where we're at.
And will Tamim be here to connect?
We should work on that. Yeah. There's a few bookstores here, right? We can get her some.
Oh my God.
I'm joking.
Oh my God. No, of course you are. But I'm just saying Powell's would love to have,
Yeah.
and by the way, this wasn't a book that just sort of was like, self-published and, sold to family members. The New York Times reviewed this book, right? If I'm not mistaken. I believe so. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, then I apologize. But anyway, wow, that's incredible. I mean, what a beautiful example of your parents must be quelling. I mean, that's really.
Well, they're quelling. It's really sweet. They're really supportive.
Yeah.
I do have one more project to talk about too.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's anything else going on. What else?
Yeah, I have a friend I met here, Sarah, through my kid's 6 now, but we met when our kids were in preschool together, and she's a theater maker as well. And we decided to make a show called You're Doing It Wrong.
Yeah. Does this have to do with all of the advice you've gotten from other parents who are older?
Oh man, no, it's not just about parenting. It's just about being a human. Yeah. So it's, this is a family show. So often when I make shows for kids, I think of it as a family show because if the parents are bored, then I feel like I haven't done my job.
Yeah.
So this is basically, it's different animals or parts of nature that are really bad at what they're supposed to be good at.
Mm-hmm.
Bird who's really struggling making a nest.
Oh my God, what a funny premise.
It really feels relatable for us as we navigate the world with our brains, just like.
Yeah. It's really, Ora, I just want to say it's interesting because I think when you said that, something clicked in my mind. Like one of your gifts as a storyteller, setting aside the puppetry, is finding topics that are framing topics that are quite real and important in a way that's kind of light and delightful. You know what I mean? So that one could just sort of be like, oh, that's funny and silly. A bird doesn't know how to make a nest. But your stories are always gesturing at something more complicated. Does that fit?
It's a huge compliment. Yeah, that's my wish. I don't know how to make things that don't involve comedy. Like I don't understand what to make if it doesn't involve that. Mm-hmm. For me, that's part of how we unlock our breath, how we come together, how we take things in, or at least for me, I should speak for myself. So yeah, I'm really glad you see that. I've always loved the challenge too of, okay, what is light about this?
And where does that stand? How far along is that?
Our goal is to premiere that in the fall. Our hope is actually to create a few summer gatherings, like small little showings.
What a great idea. So just picking up on this idea that you have this gift for getting people to think about real, substantive, important things in a way that's light and filled with humor. There's a lot of like socially engaged topics in the work that you do. And I just wonder, does that feel like a responsibility you have? Like, for example, there's a piece that you've done about environmental issues. And I'm wondering if that's natural or is it just inherent in the work that you're trying to do some healing or how does that come about, the socially engaged aspect of your puppetry?
Yeah, I think I really always want to find that balance of engaging people and not just like talking at them about something. And often the things that I feel that I can do that with have more to do with foundational things like how do we be a community?
Yeah.
How do we show up? How do we not get too disheartened?
Right.
How do we
as opposed to topical?
Exactly. Yeah. And some of my collaborators maybe are skew more that way. And I actually think that's great to have that combination because it's a good balance of what speaks to people at a sort of basic level, and then how do we guide the energy that we maybe have created?
Right. You're less likely to do something on who to vote for in the 2025 mayoral election, and more likely to do something about how do we maintain inspiration in dark times.
I think that's true because as I get older, I've come to understand that that's where my strength is. Yeah. Granular information is actually a challenge for me.
Yeah.
And when I make an argument successfully, it's about something foundational that I just know to be true.
Yeah.
And
that's a really wonderful level of self-knowledge. And I'm saying that because I think that my strengths as a teacher are also in that same space of like fundamental ontological experiences of human beings. But I often, I find it very hard to stay away from the granular and the political and the topical, but that's not my place of strength. And so we do need people doing the topical, but people who have the ability to address those more fundamental elements of our humanity. And it sounds like that's kind of what you've landed on.
Yeah, and I'm not shying away from it on a personal level, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know, I find it important on a personal level to keep identifying those things.
Yeah.
When I lead or when I declare, I like to be really responsible how I show up.
Yes.
And maybe sometimes to my own detriment, right? To not go out and express something that ultimately I would believe in until I know I believe it.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things of our time that is actually great to struggle with. Okay, is this something that needs to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Am I supporting people saying it? And I don't want to just hide from that question.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I'm saying. I think I want to live in that question.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at right now. I think in that.
I share your sense of there's different realms and different spheres and different moments to address different issues. So this is a good place to wrap up. So I want to ask you the final two questions, and the first of which is just to name something that you are loving right now that you want people to know about.
Okay, so let's see. I think based on what I was talking about today, I should share a mentor named Ronnie Burkett, who, if someone's, wow, I want to learn more about puppetry, he's just this incredible resource to our community. He's a Canadian puppeteer, mostly marionettes at this point. He builds these incredible realistic characters. And he showed, seeing his work, he uses text so well.
Wow.
And I always thought, marionette shows are often so physical.
Yeah.
It's just such a great example of a really strong writer, performer, designer, creator, teacher.
Uses text in a Jewish way or a different context?
No, text as in like words in theater.
I see. I got you. And sorry, say the name again, and how can people, there's probably a website people can search.
Yeah, you can search him, Ronnie Burkett, Burkett.
Great.
I was going to share actually one of his mentors' definitions of puppetry I have up here. So this is from his mentor, Martin Stevens. A puppet is the shape of an idea in motion. And Ronnie added on the word witnessed because he feels that it's important.
Right. That kind of completes it. Puppetry is the shape of an idea in motion with a witness or something like that.
Witnessed.
Oh, witnessed. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay. I love that. And I want to check him out. Wonderful suggestion. We'll close on what is the best Jewish food?
Ooh, well, I love my microwaved kasha knish from childhood. Like you go to Schmel's Bakery in Kent Mill.
Love that. I got to say, you're the only person who has yet referred to a packaged Jewish food, and it's because you grew up in the Orthodox world, and so your parents were probably bringing home really Jewishy labels and kosher food. So wait, tell us again the kind.
Oh, kasha knish.
So good,
and it's kind of it's like more round. Yeah, and it's got the great pastry on the outside.
That's a lot of carbohydrates.
Oh, it's so good.
I love kasha. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I used to work at some kosher fast food places as a teen, and that would be like a great break food,
I always linger. I mean, there's obviously not tons of supermarket kosher food in Portland, but there's a little bit. And I always take a little extra time on the aisle there. I mean, I don't keep kosher anymore, but the food, like prakas and stuffed cabbage and all this other deliciousness, I love that. Those couple of windows on the refrigerated aisle. Ora Fruchter, thank you. So interesting. Really excited to see the work that you're bringing into the world, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.